21st, 2022 Troy City Council meeting. We are honored as always to have Dr. Robert Cornwall, I call him Bob, Police Department Chaplain, to do our invocation this evening. So please rise for the invocation and remain standing for our Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you. It's good to be with you this evening again. Would you join me in prayer? Wondrous Creator, we come before you this evening seeking your wisdom and your guidance for the Troy City Council as they attend to the business of the community. We are grateful for their service and the service of all those who work for the city, from library pages to police officers. May they know your blessing and our appreciation for their service. We gather tonight at a time when the world is in crisis. The war in Ukraine may be far away in terms of distance, and yet the devastation and death and displacement that comes with this war are heavy on our hearts. The Council has stood in support of the Ukrainian people, but suffering is present not just in Ukraine, but across the globe. It might be the result of war or disaster or disease. So may we keep all those who suffer in our hearts and commit ourselves to pursue justice for all, including persons living in our own community who experience suffering and even oppression. For the past 2 years, we have lived under the shadow of the COVID-19 pandemic. And while we seem to be in a lull at the moment, we've been here before. And so we ask that we as a community, from city leaders to the youngest and oldest residents, that we might do everything possible to put this scourge in the past. These past few years have been difficult, whether it's war or pandemic or racial strife or political division. All of this has taken toll on us. Sometimes we feel as if we've been abandoned and are on our own. And so we cry out at times in lament. But while there is anxiety and grief on our hearts that lead us to cry out and lament, we know you hear our cries. And in this there is hope. And that hope is rooted in your presence in the community. And while things aren't perfect, there are enough people in the community who hear your call to pursue the common good that we can find hope for the present and the future of the community and beyond. And one of the strengths of this community is our diversity, for which we give thanks. With hearts filled with concerns and with hope, we pray for this council. May it always keep its focus on the common good of all residents, as well as all workers that are present in the city. May they have the necessary wisdom and understanding to respond to the needs and concerns of the community with grace and compassion. We know this is not an easy job. We know that not everyone is happy with every decision that they make, so give them courage to make the difficult but necessary decisions. Bless each member of this council, for they have chosen to give their time and their talents for the good of the community. And bless each city worker, from those library pages to the police officers that I mentioned. May they know that their work is valued by the community. Bless each member of the community with grace so that we can walk together and draw strength from each other as we together pursue the common good in the city of Troy. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The March 21st, 2022 Troy City Council meeting is now officially called to order, and I'll ask for the roll call from Ms. Dixon.
Mayor Baker?
Here.
Councilmember Abraham?
Here.
Councilmember Brooks?
Here.
Councilmember Chamberlain Krenga?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Erickson Galt?
Here.
Councilmember Hamilton?
Here.
Councilmember Hoderick?
Here.
All present this evening. We have no certificates of recognition and special presentations or carryover items. So first up tonight is a public hearing, E1. It's a public hearing to reprogram Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, PY 2021 funds. And it looks like Cindy Stewart, our Community Affairs Director, is coming forward for the presentation.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I was here a couple months ago to reprogram 18, 19, and 20 funds. Well, the county just told us we could do something with our 2021 funds. And as we told you before, we're not going to do our project at Firefighters Park. We're going to do a city park on Section 19 on Long Lake. So we are asking you reprogram the 2021 funds of $128,761 into this project so we can probably do much more than what we had planned with our 2022 funds.
Thank you, Cindy. You said Section 19. I think
I
you
mean
mean
Section 9.
So it's
Sorry.
just being clear.
Section 9.
Any questions for Cindy? All right, let me open the public hearing. I don't see anyone has signed up to speak on this item. Anyone in the audience care to speak this evening on E1, the public hearing to reprogram Community Development Block Grant CDBG PUI 2021 funds? Don't all rush at once, please. All right, we'll close the public hearing. Someone like to move the resolution? Mayor Pro Tem Erickson Galt.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move E1, public hearing to reprogram Community Development Block Grant CDBG PY 2021 funds.
Support.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Erickson Galt, supported by Councilmember Chamberlain Kranga, that we approve E1, public hearing to reprogram Community Development Block Grant CDBG PY 2021 funds as printed in the agenda packet. Any discussion? All right, the vote, Ms. Dixon.
Mayor Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Abraham?
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Councilmember Chamberlain Kranga?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Erickson Galt?
Yes.
Councilmember Hamilton?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoderick?
Yes.
Motion carries. Next up is public comment for items on the agenda from Troy residents and businesses. I don't see that anybody has signed up this evening, so there'll be no need for council or administration to reply. There are no postponed items, so we move on to regular business. I1 is board and committee appointments. There are no mayoral appointments this evening, and there are no city council appointments either. So we move on to I2, board and committee nominations. There are no mayoral nominations this evening, but I understand there are city council nominations, so I'll turn it over to Mayor Pro Tem Erickson Galt.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to nominate to the Traffic Committee Cindy Nurak, or actually renominate her to be reappointed to the Traffic Committee for a term that ends on January 31st, 2025.
Support.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Erickson Galt, supported by Councilmember Hamilton, that City Council nominates the reappointment of Cindy Nurak to the Traffic Committee for the term expiring January 31st, 2025. Any discussion? The vote, Ms. Dixon.
Councilmember Abraham?
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Councilmember Chamberlain Kranga?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Erickson Galt?
Yes.
Councilmember Hamilton?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoderick?
Yes.
Mayor Baker?
Yes, motion carries. I believe that concludes City Council nominations this evening. There's no closed session requested, so we go on to I4, bid waiver for AccuTab tablets, and that'll be introduced by Brian Gould, our Recreation Director. Good evening, Brian.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The item before you is a bid waiver for the Recreation Department to continue to use AccuTab tablets for chlorine at the pools through the end of the year. Aquatic Source is a sole provider for the current system and would only commit to the current price of $195 per 60-pound bucket through the end of the year due to the increasing chlorine prices. I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Brian. Any questions? Someone like to, Councilmember Hoderick.
I will move I4, bid waiver, AccuTab tablets, as printed in the agenda packet.
Support.
Moved by Councilmember Hoderick and supported by Councilmember Abraham that we approve I4 bid waiver AccuTab tablets as printed in the agenda packet. Any discussion? I'll just add, it seems appropriate. The chlorine won't matter if we don't have employees and lifeguards to run the aquatic center, so I know we're hiring. Please go to the Troy website. There's plenty of information there. I know the rec department's excited to hire a bunch of people for this summer, right?
We are, absolutely.
All right. The vote, Ms. Dixon.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Councilmember Chamberlain Kranga?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Erickson Galt?
Yes.
Councilmember Hamilton?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoderick?
Yes.
Mayor Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Abraham?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you, Brian. Next up is I5, bid waiver MSA G1 SCBA batteries, Fire Department. That'll be introduced by Fire Chief Chuck Reerster. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for taking the time to listen to our proposal. The fire department utilizes self-contained breathing apparatus for respiratory protection whenever we enter into situations which are immediately dangerous to life and health. This has been an industry standard for decades, and the safety and protection of our firefighters is our highest priority. The city purchased new air packs, new MSA SCBA air packs for the fire department about 3 years ago. The purchase allowed us to replace aging units, upgrade for better protection of the firefighters, and for ease of use of the unit. At the time, these new units were were purchased with alkaline batteries. Okay, cost considerations are always applied or discussed with our purchases, since replacing alkaline batteries over using rechargeable lithium-ion batteries was more cost-effective at that time. However, after just 3 years of use, the price of the batteries has increased, like everything, and the battery life has diminished. Batteries which were expected to last about a year now only last about 4 to 6 months. Changing to the MSA G1 rechargeable lithium-ion battery packs will become more cost-effective over the long-term ownership of the air pack units. Those are expected to last about 15 years. Also, supplying each station with a charger allows each fire station to change out the battery packs on a more regular basis, thereby ensuring that the air packs have full power when they're needed. Each charging unit charges 6 battery packs at one time. The fire department is recommending to purchase the MSA G1 rechargeable batteries and charging stations and replace the alkaline batteries which are now in use. And with that, I'll answer your questions.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions? Want to move the resolution? Councilmember Hamilton?
I'll move I-5, bid waiver, MSA G1 SCBA batteries, fire department as printed in the agenda packet.
Support.
Moved by Councilmember Hamilton, supported by Councilmember Brooks, that we approve I-5 bid waiver MSA G1 SCBA batteries for the fire department as printed in the agenda packet. Any discussion? Just quickly, go ahead.
I was just going to say, for anyone watching, it looks like we're just like listening to folks say this for a few minutes and then approving, but there is background information in our agenda packets that we have reviewed. I just wanted to point that out.
Always a good point to make. I also wanted to add, I've been reading a lot to school children for March's Reading Month, and I've been telling them one of the important things we do in the city is make sure our police and fire departments have up-to-date equipment and training and all those things. So very timely request this evening. I appreciate that. It says that I was telling the truth. So.
We very much appreciate the support. Items like this make it easier for us to do our jobs. So.
That's what we love to hear. The vote, Ms. Dixon?
Councilmember Chamberlain Craig?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Erickson Galt?
Yes.
Councilmember Hamilton?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoderick?
Yes.
Mayor Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Abraham?
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank
I would like to offer one more comment. Tonight is the 34th anniversary of one of the worst tragedies in our department's history. We had a wall collapse. One of our firefighters was injured to the point where he couldn't return to work. That was, again, 34 years ago. That member passed away last week. So we will be holding a memorial service for him and his family tomorrow night. We ask the residents to keep the family in their prayers and thoughts. It's a dangerous job, but we do a lot of training. We have a lot of committed people to our department, but we're always taking applications. So if anybody would like to fill out an application, they're available online. We'd be more than happy to speak with you.
Thank you, Chief.
Okay, thank you very much.
I-6 has been pulled from the agenda at the request of City Administration, so we'll move on to I-7, 2022 City Council meeting schedule, and that'll be introduced by our City Manager, Mark Miller.
Thank you. As council may recall, the Downtown Development Authority is in the process of analyzing the Big Beaver corridor and the aging landscaping, and we've formed a committee, which myself, Kurt Bovenseep is on that committee, and the mayor as the vice chair of the DDA, and the chairman of the DDA, Alan Kurlik. Kurt, did I miss anybody on that committee? No. And so we've been meeting with OHM advisors, and we have primarily been doing stakeholder meetings, and OHM has been doing investigations. So this is to conduct a 6 o'clock meeting to sort of update council where we're at on the project. And we will be serving a dinner beforehand because it'll be a 6 o'clock meeting and then a 7:30 meeting.
Any questions for Mark? Councilmember Chamberlain Craig.
Yes, just briefly, as I read it, it's not a joint meeting with the DDA. This is just to get an update from city management. Is that correct?
That is correct. And city management and our consultant, OHM, which will probably, will be doing most of the updating, not staff.
Okay, excellent.
Councilmember Hamilton?
Yeah, my only question was, we'll have enough time, because I know there's a council meeting that same day, a regular council.
Oh, yeah.
meeting, right? Okay,
Yes.
great.
And this won't be the last time in which council will be able to provide their input. But this is more to report where we're at and any ideas and directions that you may have regarding the project. And I'll give you a quick example, is the Downtown Development Authority is a specific boundary, and there has been some input, those areas outside of the boundary, should there be consistency with the DDA, and that's been identified. And that would be an area where maybe city council would want to be more involved, because it's outside of the DDA, that would be more of your responsibility than the DDA's, and financially also.
I'll move I-7 2022 to, move I-7 2022 City Council meeting schedule as printed in the agenda packet.
Support.
Moved by the chair, supported by Councilmember Hamilton, that we approve I-7 2022 City Council meeting schedule to schedule the special meeting at 6 p.m. on Monday, April 25th, 2022 for Troy Downtown Development Authority, TDDA landscaping as printed in the agenda packet. Any further discussion? The vote, Ms. Dixon.
Mayor Pro Tem Erickson Galt,
Yes.
Councilmember Hamilton,
Yes.
Councilmember Hoderick,
Yes.
Mayor Baker,
Yes.
Councilmember Abraham,
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks,
Yes.
Councilmember Chamberlain Kringa.
Yes.
Motion carries. That concludes regular business this evening. Next up is the consent agenda. Would anyone like to pull an item for future discussion from the consent agenda? Councilmember Abraham.
I'd like to move all items on the consent agenda as printed. Support.
Moved by Councilmember Abraham, supported by Councilmember Brooks, that we approve all items on the consent agenda as printed in the agenda packet. Any discussion? And subject also to the late submittal of, right?
Yeah.
Subject to the late submittal of I better say it right even though you know what I'm doing. Just make sure I do it right. All right. There we go. J3A. That was printed on the table. All right. Any discussion? The vote, Ms. Dixon.
Oh, Mayor.
Oh, Councilmember Hamilton.
Brief comment. Yep, J4A and B, just wanted to point to residents' attention, these two important items. It's rehabilitation of roads at Square Lake and Coolidge, and in Section 18, which is over by where I used to live at Waddles and Adams. So we're redoing those roads. It's going to be a lot of work done this year, so I'm glad to see that. That's all.
All right. Thank you. The vote, Ms. Dixon.
Councilmember Hamilton,
Yes.
Councilmember Hoderick,
Yes.
Mayor Baker,
Yes.
Councilmember Abraham,
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks,
Yes.
Councilmember Chamberlain Kringa,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Erickson Galt.
Yes.
Motion carries. If you're here for an item on the consent agenda this evening, they've all been approved. Next up are memorandums and future council agenda items. There are none. We then move on to public comment for items not on the agenda from Troy residents and businesses. There's no one signed up this evening, so no need for reply.
We do have someone who's going to be speaking.
Okay.
I'm not sure he just arrived just in time to sign up.
All right. Sir, please come forward. That's you. As a reminder, you have 3 minutes. When it turns yellow, you have 1 minute left, and when it turns red, your time is up, and we're ready for you.
Ready? Okay, my name's Aaron. Aaron Deluski. I'm a resident of Troy. I'm a local human being. I ride my bike around here. I want to point out something about this crisscross you got out here on 16. People don't belong in that mess. Human beings don't belong in that mess. There's a lot of stress. There was a guy here, Fred Phillips. He was part of the Trails Committee, and he was studying road stress. and what it does to people psychologically, and how human beings in that sort of atmosphere are affected by it. I think there should be elevated pathways on 16 Mile Road. I think there should be a bridge that goes right over I-75. I know it's a costly project, but human beings don't belong in this mess. It's a little stressful. I mean, I enjoy it. I enjoy coming here and talking to the council. My dad did too. He passed away. Where are you, Dave? You know Dad. Passed away recently. He wanted to see elevated pathways too, integrated into the buildings, all the way to Somerset. I understand it's a costly endeavor, but keeping humans healthy and happy, I think it's an economic benefit to everybody involved. That's and then one more thing before I I heard some folks here talking about a velodrome. A velodrome is a racetrack, a bicycle racetrack in Detroit. There was one recently built. It's called the Lexus Velodrome. And the folks that built it abandoned their old velodrome. I can't say abandoned it. I don't know the right words here, but it's sitting unused in Rochester's Bloomer Park. It's just sitting there, not being used. It's rotting, basically. It's made of wood. The wood was just replaced a few years ago. It's marine grade wood and all that kind of stuff. I'd like to see that velodrome here in Troy. I think having two cities competing against each other, bicycle racing would really spark some interest in bicycling, and it would really make people a little healthier in that sort of way. Anyways, I'm going to get going. Thanks.
Thanks, Aaron. That concludes those that have signed up for public comment for items not on the agenda from Troy residents and businesses. Now's an opportunity to reply. It's good to see you, Aaron, as you walk out. Just want to let you know, it's been a while. Anything further? All right. Next up are council referrals. We don't have any this evening. So anybody on council have any comments on the reports? Councilmember Chamberlain-Crainga.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to call out report 02B, that is the Troy Public Library eliminating late fines. And I just want to give a shout out to the library. I recognize, and for residents who may not know this, is actually those fines have been eliminated over the past 2 years during COVID as a way to kind of ease the burden. And as you know, there were different policies and practices of getting books during those years. And you found it to be very successful. And I just think this is a great move to eliminate them. And some of the things that you share in the report, and I encourage residents to have a look at that report. It talks about creating a positive rather than punitive association with the library. It talks about just, again, continuing that policy that you actually have been doing over the past 2 years. And you have found that it's not in any way meant that books have gone missing more than otherwise. So I just think that's great. And that, to note too, there are still some books, like I do a lot of Melcat interlibrary loans, so those you still would have fines on, there are some. But I just, again, want to thank you very much. And it sounds like there's a way that, if I could ask a question, that it does save maybe staff time. There is staff time associated with having to track all those late fees and whatnot. So it's great to see putting that staff time into other important things to really serve the public. So thank you so much, Emily, and the library.
Thank you, Councilmember Chamberlain-Crainga. Any additional comments on the reports? All right, next up are council comments. Council comments this evening. Councilmember Hamilton.
Thank you, Mayor. 2 weeks from tonight, we begin our budget discussions. This year's budget is really exciting. We have our American Rescue Plan dollars and our normal budget allocation, and then there's a lot of exciting things to talk about and to debate on what we're going to spend on. I encourage residents to attend and view it and give us your take on where you think the future of our city should go. I recently, last week, attended the Michigan Municipal League's Capital Conference, and there was a lot of talk about how best to allocate your ARPA dollars. I mean, we are likely going to basically have minimal limits on it due to revenue replacement, but and I know our staff is already on top of this, but we need to keep in mind, as this is a one-time allocation, we need to invest in things that will bring us a return in the future, that won't create new maintenance and new long-term obligations. And I know we're already doing that, but just to let residents know we have that in mind, and that's what we're thinking about, is long-term investments into our city that'll pay dividends.
Thank you, Councilmember Hamilton. Additional council comments? Councilmember Chamberlain-Crango?
Thank you, Mayor. So along with Councilmember Hamilton and Councilmember Brooks, we were honored to be at Michigan Municipal League's Capital Conference that they have every year. And it was the first time in person for a couple of years, given COVID, so it was nice to really see people. And just want to share a couple of one takeaway in particular is, I know we had conversation, our state representative, our state senator, Mallory McMorrow, had reached out around opportunities to start thinking about potential projects that, in my mind, I think related to the Infrastructure Investment Jobs Act, the IIJA. And so I asked a question in my board meeting, I had a board meeting at the time as well, about, is it too early? We don't know the rules yet from Treasury around those federal funds to start thinking about, projects and things. And they said it's not too early. It's not too early to think about just, potential ideas that might be in the works. So just good to have that small takeaway. And again, have a lot of those great conversations with other municipalities, hearing how they're handling their ARPA dollars and how they're approaching it to really serve the community. So I look forward to that budget conversation. Another thing I want to mention was had the honor at MML as well to speak on a panel with the Michigan Women in Municipal Government, and to really speak about women's resiliency in local government, especially during these years of COVID. And I just want to call that out because it's Women's History Month, and it was a chance to really call out that the importance of your I would call it your band of sisters, of other women who are really supportive and helping you, but also male allies. And I called out some folks here on this council in that presentation, and the value of really helping each other. And so just want to, as Women's History Month closes, thank all those who are both men and women, the way we support each other in all that we do in leadership and beyond. Couple other things related to, to share, spring break for the school district is coming up. Some of you know that we're leaving our family on Thursday. We're going to be going to Eastern Europe to work with Ukrainian refugees. So we have family members who are working with nonprofits, hoping to go up to the border. We have some family who are actually taking medical supplies all the way to Mariupol and to Ukraine. So look forward to sharing some of that, and we'll have a chance when I come back to share at a Rotary Club a little bit of the takeaways and what we learned out of that as a family. So thank you for everyone's support for Ukraine. I know we shared Vera Petrucia last time, her initiative. And tonight I want to share another amazing initiative that relates to Troy, another initiative for Ukraine. And I really want to call out a resident, Steve Sadler. He's actually here in our audience, and thank you, Steve. His wife's aunt, who's actually up north, Cross Village, she's a beautiful fiber artist, and has started this amazing initiative in the colors of Ukraine, creating these beautiful tea towels. And what she's doing, and I'm going to share this later also on social media, selling them and giving over half the profits are going then to Ukraine to different initiatives. And in a very short period of time, she's already raised over $30,000, and that was as last weekend. So I'm going to share more, and if you're interested, the website you can check out is called Three Pine Studio. So threepinestudio.com/Ukraine-relief. And I'll put it on my social media, Rebecca for Troy, and hope you'll check it out. They're beautiful. And it's actually, the word has really gotten out about these. There was an opportunity to share these with the Ukrainian ambassador to the U.S., as well as with some State Department officials as well in Washington. So it's a great cause to support. And I just want to call out Troy neighbors. I had a neighbor come to us unsolicited. They heard we're taking this trip and just gave us a check for hundreds and hundreds of dollars just to give what they felt they wanted to give to support these initiatives. So I just feel like I've seen Troy at its best. People just come out of nowhere and want to give and want to support and want to do something. And so those are just, again, it shows the beautiful spirit of our community during these times. And the last little comment I do also want to make is I recognize we have global companies here in Troy. And some of those companies have made choices to step back operations from Russia, no doubt a very difficult decision. And I just also lastly want to take a moment to say I really commend those companies that have made that decision. You're an inspiration, and we look up to you in many, many ways. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilmember Chamberlain-Kranga. Additional council comments? Councilmember Hoderick?
I just, real quick, wanted to say Happy World Down Syndrome Day, and I'm thinking of two friends in town named Emily and Aaron, and I know that their families celebrate, and that's a special club, and it's worth, with everything going on in the world, the joy that they bring is amazing. And secondly, as a council and administration, we are always, we've set a policy as a council to work hard on our governance and governing with integrity and ethics and being as effective as we can be. And Assistant City Manager Bob Bruner brought to our attention a training. We all try to take advantage of training, reading about how to do this job, but he identified new training that's being offered by the ICMA, an organization whose members are professional city, town, and city managers who are appointed by elected officials. And we hold our city manager to that very high standard, ethical standard that the ICMA puts forward. But where we have often struggled for years, I would say going back even 15 years, is really understanding as an elected body what that council manager form of government looks like and what we're holding our city manager accountable to perform. So I wanted to thank Assistant City Manager Bob Bruner for bringing that to our attention. I'm looking forward to taking advantage of it. I don't know if you have anything else to offer. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but
thanks for your enthusiasm.
I know it sounds like such a nerd thing to say, but it's really relevant to the ongoing work of pushing past struggles we've had and how we work together. We get elected as individuals, but when we come together, we have to work as a team. And the council manager form of government and the ceremonial mayor piece of it, it can be complicated. It's harder to do than you realize. When you come to the table, you're constantly trying to learn and understand how to be as effective in that role, because it's a team sport with individual opinions necessarily part of it. And anything we can learn and any improvement we can make, I was glad to see the ICMA bring that to us.
Thanks, Councilmember Hoderick. Just a quick follow-up on that, and as a reminder to everyone up here and those watching, we've codified our requirement to have ethics training at this board up here, and I think I don't know if this qualifies for that, but that's definitely something that, I don't think you can overtrain in this field, and I like the idea that ICMA is offering this, and I again also thank you, Bob, for bringing it to our attention. I'll be doing it as well. The beauty of it is you don't have to do it live. You can get the webinar videos after the fact, which might make it easier for some of us. But everything that Ellen said regarding the reasons why, absolutely. So thank you for that, Ellen. Anyone else have anything else? I had just a couple more quick things. So while CapCon was going on, Executive Coulter held his State of the County last week, and several of us were there instead of in Lansing. And it was striking for a number of reasons. There's been a lot of change in Oakland County, I hate to say it, but politically, and there's been a lot of turnover of people in different roles. But it was very good to have a large group come together from Oakland County, representing all parts of Oakland County, and listening to Mr. Coulter's State of the County, and the opportunity again to meet with some people that we haven't seen in person for a while. And I talk a lot about the power of relationship building, but it was really beneficial for me to see a lot of those familiar faces, to kind of reacquaint myself with some others. And I think as the largest city in Oakland County, it's important for us to be fully dialed into what's going on in Oakland County at the government level. And I appreciate County Executive Coulter for inviting us and for having the opportunity to go. County looks good. City of Troy looks good too. There's a teaser for the state of the city later in May, but we're in good shape. And I think, I said it last year, if Oakland County does well, Troy does well, and vice versa. So again, thank you for that opportunity to be there. It was a good experience. I think that stuff's been covered. I'll probably regret this, but it's Mayor Pro Tem Erickson Galt's birthday tomorrow. So that's going to come back to haunt me for bringing it up, but happy early birthday.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. That concludes council comments this evening. I don't see that anybody signed up for public comment for items on or not on the agenda from members of the public outside of Troy. We have no closed session this evening, so at 8:05 we will adjourn.